you can take this hat away from me. And then what? Then what? Oh, I'm naked. Look at me. I'm totally naked. I'm bare naked and I've lost my confidence. No, you can't take that away from me. You can't frame control me. You can't checkmate me into feeling a different way. Don't let somebody... Just getting my hat set up right now. I'm going to be talking about this hat and what it means to me a little bit later, but holy crap, man. I slept for 10 hours straight last night between the hours of about 8:45 to 6:45 this morning. And my body is just not really accustomed to the rolling that I've been doing the past couple of days. I'm all beat up. I've got my feet totally taped up and been in a little bit of pain while walking, just given the nature of these blisters. I'll have to take off this tape and get it retaped a little bit later on before I go out for the day. But what I want to talk about is the idea of going for the gold, going for the real thing, and finding out what you're really after in life. And there's a whole backstory to this hat that gives it a lot of sentimental value to me and inherent inside meaning that obviously somebody out on the street is not going to see it for. And that just speaks to the relativistic nature of reality and just the fact that it matters not so much what you look at, but what you see, and the fact that what you see is colored by just the reference experiences that you have leading up to a particular point in time, among myriad other factors, your neurochemistry, not least of which. But what I really want to talk about right now is the idea of inner peace, because this is the gold that I always wanted. I didn't want a gold medal. I didn't want a black belt. I didn't want this hat, which I got in, I believe, the summer going into 7th grade. I'll expound upon the story behind that in a little bit. But what I wanted was the things that those tangibles represented. I just wanted to feel like a winner. I wanted to feel like I was enough. I wanted to feel tranquil inside. And what I like to do is to compare and contrast people who, in my estimation, this is just what I'm intuiting based on 2 days of rolling at this local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, people who I believe have found that freedom, have found that inner peace, that confidence, that contentment, to people who I don't believe have and are masquerading as confident people because of the positions that they assume in society. But at the end of the day, they haven't really found their freedom. So I'd rather you not get the hat, not get the gold medal, not get the black belt, but at the end of the day, feel good about yourself when you're by yourself, when you're with yourself, because there is a very, very, very fundamental difference between the person that has that has cultivated that character, that has become hardened because of the adversity that they've exposed themselves to systematically, and by systematically leveling themselves up, cultivating that character, that grit, and becoming more capable of contending with the inevitably adversarial nature of life. There's just such a stark contrast between those individuals that have it. They just have it. I always wanted to have it, man. I just always wanted to be a free entity. And now as somebody who has glimpsed that, who has experienced the serenity of that inner peace on the other side of struggle, it's something that I can sense in other people. I sense a lot of that in these guys that I've been rolling with at this local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. But what I don't experience that, what I don't sense that in, what I'm not able to palpably appreciate in the people that I work with is that sense of contentment, even if they masquerade in having that, because of the position that they assume hierarchically in this artificially constructed social hierarchy, for example, within a workplace, just thinking about HR, human resources, and so forth. Do the work to actually become the man who can be at peace. And what that looked like for me in 7th grade at this soccer camp was winning the competition. It's called juggling. I don't know if you've ever played soccer before, but it's just a number of times that you can, in succession, tap a soccer ball without it hitting the ground. And to be honest, I was really bad at this. And I can remember just the year prior, I was only able to juggle 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. And on a rare anomalous occasion, like 9 or 10. And I can remember this Ukrainian gentleman, Artem Down, really nice fella. And I just always admired this guy, not least because of his physical prowess. He just had like this ripped 6-pack because he was skinny, right? It's kind of like a fat chick with boobs is the equivalent of a skinny guy with abs. In hindsight, that's the way that I perceive it. But at the time, it really impressed me, his physique, his physical prowess, and his ability to regularly achieve double-digit numbers of successive juggles. Now, but that's to say nothing of Tyler DeAngelis, my arch nemesis, who could juggle 128 times. I could remember he was a savage, man. He would use his thigh and he could just keep it going ad infinitum. And just figured there was no way that I was going to be able to contend with this kid, Tyler. But I was going to give him my best shot. So I had this size 5 ball. I remember it was red and white. I wish I still had it because that's frankly as valuable to me as this hat that I was bestowed later this summer at this camp. And there was just this girl that I really fancied. Her name was Hannah. And I knew that she was going to see this competition. She was a really attractive girl that was in my class. And I just wanted to win in her presence. So every night before dinner, and frankly during dinner, my mom would always call my name. I would be outside. I was just practicing juggling, just the best that I could. Now, I was getting pretty good at hacky sack or foot bag at this point in time. That was kind of the fad that was going on in the middle school that I attended. All the boys would grow out their hair, and we just kind of had like this hippie lifestyle and aura, and we would play hacky sack throughout the day. For example, during recess or in the morning during our advisee time. So I had a little bit of a background with that. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to beat Tyler with my thighs, but maybe I could beat him with my feet, with my highly coordinated hacky sack background. And so I kept practicing that. I kept doing these toe taps with my right foot, and then I would use the inside of my left foot, and I would just go back and forth. So I'd do a toe tap, maybe a couple of them, and just really get into a rhythm. And oh my God, man, it was a lot of practice, and it was a lot of time and effort and attention that I had to apply to this. But I really wanted to win, especially in Hannah's presence. So we get to the end of the summer, and Tyler goes first, and you get 2 attempts. I don't know how many he got on the first try, maybe 50 or 60, but he just belts it, man. He gets 128 taps on his second try, and I'm thinking there's no way that I'm gonna be able to beat this kid. I mean, he's the reigning champion. He wins this competition every single year. So I go up with the ball that I've been practicing with the entire summer leading up to that point. This is about a week or 2 before the fall classes commence. And I go up, I'm in front of like 30 or 40 people, the guy leading the clinic, Tony, and I just go off, man. Totally unconscious competence. Time just escapes me, and I get into an incredible flow state, the likes of which were just unprecedented for me up until that point in time. And I juggled that ball. I'll never forget this number, 574 times on my first try. I didn't even get a second try. I don't know how many minutes had elapsed. At least, I'm honestly not sure. I guess you could do the math. You could figure out how many times it takes to juggle 10 times, and you could divide 574 by that. But the long story short is I won. I won, and I was presented this Adidas hat by winning that competition. Now, here's the truth. At that point in my life, it didn't matter if I had this hat. It didn't matter if I was a high honors student, if I was top 10 in my class. I've shared the video before of my classmate Tyler, who just goes to the front of the room, woo! And he just lets it rip, man. And he's wearing his pajamas. He doesn't have any cords. He wasn't top 10. He had a barely passing GPA. Now, I wore this hat because I was given that. But the truth was that in spite of my best effort yet, I still didn't feel like a winner. And in the 7th grade, to my right is Tyler, that same kid who, 7 years later? Is that right? 7 years, 6 or 7 years later when we had graduated, just let it rip. Tyler was just like unconsciously clowning me. And I can remember Hannah was sitting right across from him at this rectangular table. And he was just kind of joking about me and her dating. And he just was this naturally charismatic and had this sexually dimorphic and sexual polarity with the opposite sex that he didn't have to go through the ringer to actually consciously curate like I later did, just studying male and female dynamics. So this kid was just clowning on me, and I'm like, fuck this kid, man. But I didn't have any weapons in my arsenal to fight back, and I didn't understand the concept of frame control. So the bottom line was that Tyler just had this inner state of being a winner, even if he wasn't bestowed this hat. And my wish for you is to cultivate that and realize that the hat isn't the prize. You know what the real prize is? It's peace of mind. And that's what I've always wanted. And so all of these efforts and hoops that I've jumped through were not to get the hat. It was just to find my freedom. Now, when I'm rolling with these guys in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, I get the sense that they are very, very peaceful people internally. They don't have to fight to prove anything because ostensibly they know that they're capable of that. Boom! They've gone outside of their comfort zone. They've gotten inside a rear naked choke. They've had to tap. But now life isn't able to tap them out because of the capability that they've curated. Now, I don't get that same vibe off the people that I work with in my day-to-day existence. And I think it's because, be it the RXOM position, they're a lead technician and they have this social status that's artificially constructed in this environment, is no different than this hat. It's just something that I was given. And in this case, something that I earned. And that's a different level, I think, than just being granted something haphazardly because somebody needed to assume that role. But I think the next tier beyond that is not having these contingencies. Tyler was wearing pajamas underneath his robe and he just loved it, man. He was just confident for no particular reason, at least as far as I can tell. It was unconditional. In other words, you can't take that away from Tyler. You can take this hat away from me. And then what? Oh, I'm naked. Look at me. I'm totally naked. I'm bare naked and I've lost my confidence. No, you can't take that away from me. You can't frame control me. You can't checkmate me into feeling a different way. Don't let somebody render upheaval within you. Systematically expose yourself to the upheaval on the front end so that you cultivate the character that can contend with that on the back end. Boom. You expand yourself. But then you come back day to day and you just relax and you're just at ease with yourself and you're peaceful and you have that inner contentment. But you've earned it. You've earned it behind closed doors. You didn't put on this song and dance. You didn't do that in this performative fashion, but rather you did it when the door was closed, the lights were off, and the curtain was shut. That is my wish for you, to cultivate that character and to find your freedom. That's it for today, my friend. I love you very much. I hope you're enjoying some of these riffs. I've just been trying to share some of my day-to-day experiences and just some of the dots that I've connected. I think that's something that maybe you can relate to, is you go out into the world and you make all of these observations that are seemingly disparate in nature. They're just these dots that seem disconnected. And over time, what happens is as you level up in life, those dots start to connect in a way that seems more cogent. It makes more sense, and it allows you to construct this mental model. This is a philosophy that I live by, this idea of the map not being the territory, this mental model that allows you to more effectively reconcile in a one-to-one fashion that mental model with the territory before you. And that allows you to be more effective in this life. If you have a map that says that when you turn 15 degrees to the right and you take a step forward and you're going to end up at this point in your life, and you actually do, you can see the utility of that. You can see how pragmatic it is to be walking around with that map. Now, to equip yourself with that map, you have to have mental malleability. You have to have open-mindedness. You have to be willing, just like your smartphone, to in perpetuity continually update yourself, update the software, increase the security, get the bugs out of the system, and render a more solidified software. Not the beta version of the software, but the battle-tested one, the alpha build. That's it for today, my friend. Drop a comment down below, like and subscribe for more content like this. I hope you appreciate the seed oil-free shirt that I'm rocking. That's one of the best changes that I've made in my life about a decade ago, going seed oil free. And I hope you follow suit. And until next time, find your freedom. Peace.